You probably already know this, right? Oh man, how you doing today? My name is Chris Saquez. This is your best life defined. Rocking and rolling it. I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm not even going to try it. I'm not going to try and give you that story about how great I'm doing because you won't believe it anyway. And I guess that's the difference right now. We're going to talk about that. Everything that we're going to talk about today is guarantee comes with a guarantee. By the time you get done listening to this podcast, you will have everything you need to do. You'll know everything you need to know in order for you to never have to come back here. So no matter how painful it is, I suggest you stick around. It's a lot easier than you think. It is. It's truly a lot easier than you think. Let's go ahead and dig into some stuff here so you can lose it. What the hell is that supposed to mean? You can lose it. You could lose your relationship. Someone's in the process of losing a relationship as we speak. You could lose your house. Someone is probably in the process of losing their home. They got an idea. They had these dreams that were sold to them, and now they've lose. You could lose your life. You could if you're involved and you're dabbling in white powdery substances or illicit weed. You don't know if there's fentanyl, and you could lose it. There's a lot of ways we can lose it. Good news is I'm going to tell you how to avoid all of it. It's one simple task, 3 little steps. By the time you get done, you're going to be exactly where you want to be with it. And of course, I don't know. I could be selling you snake oil. It's possible. Huh. But it's working for me. And that's really the important part. We're going to share some ideas about relationships. We're going to talk about your kids. We're going to talk about how you can do better at work, how you can capture more at work. You can talk about grabbing that ultimate goal, that thing that makes your life just skyrocket in the direction you want. And it's all up to you. All right. Hey, what's happening? How you doing today? My name is Chris Saquez. Welcome to the show. So we're going to start by talking about relationships. Let's talk about relationships. So the reason this is so important is simple. It's because your relationship is your superpower times 2. In other words, when you have someone in your life that is your partner, your team player, your person that comes in behind you and sweeps up and helps you up when you're down and does dishes and helps you with the bed and makes sure that they hold their end of the bargain up, that's a pretty important asset. And it really gets important when you're actually rocking and rolling it towards some amazing thing. Right? Of course, that's where we fall off the tracks. But if you would think about it, when you think about losing your relationship, there's an entire industry on the 700,000 divorces that happen every year, right? 700,000 divorces every year. So I guess there's a chance it happens. And is it likely? We're not talking about all of the people who were just in common law relationships who decided not to file the paperwork, right? That costs usually on an average. I mean, what's the average, a median on a divorce? $40,000, $30,000 if there's kids involved, $20,000 if it's just you and him, unless, of course, it's amicable, which isn't likely because you can't be amicable with the person you love, but you just can't get along with, God forbid. What would you do if I told you for free, for absolutely no money at all, we can actually change that? Let's talk about that relationship and how this principle applies. What causes relationships to fail? Well, people say, well, he's hit me, and he's mean, and he's rude, and he's selfish, and he doesn't do enough, or she doesn't do this, and she doesn't pay attention to me, and she doesn't do that, right? What's it all come down to? You're not good at that relationship. You know why she's clawing you up and making it rough on you when you're out doing the things you want to do? It's probably not because she gives 2 shits about what you're doing. It's probably because she's not getting to do the same thing, right? You're treating me like that. I'm over here doing it all. I mean, the ticket for me and Sandy, my wife and I, have 43 years. I love her more than air. To be honest with you, she takes so good of care of me. She just treats me so right? I do more for her. I do more for her than I do for myself. And what I mean by that is when I wake up in the morning, I look around, and if there's an opportunity for me to make her smile or to make her feel wonderful about where she's at in relation to me, because I'm the world's most interesting guy. Right? Whatever it is, I call that the Prince Charming syndrome. You could lose it if you're biting at each other and there's some things that never get resolved and there's an attitude of indifference. Yeah, you could lose it. But the good news is the other side of that is basically the 3 steps to where we're getting ready to go. What would happen if you imagined more for your life? What would you imagine if you happened to imagine more for your relationship? You just have this idea about how great it would be if it could be that way it was when you first got together. Oh, they're having fun, laughing, doing all kinds of fun things. What would happen if you started thinking about that and you started talking about that? Simple concept. That's the step. That's the step to living a better life, right? Imagine she waking you up and just you're like looking at her kind of funny because she's just so damn nice to you. And the good news, it doesn't have to start. It doesn't have to start with them. There's a trick right there. Doesn't have to start with them. Let's go move into that thing. Talking about you could lose it that relationship. I mean, how do you preserve your relationship? And the answer is this. It starts with you. And I said that in the previous podcast. But I'll remind you, it's a valuable thing to remember, and that is it starts with you. It does. It starts exactly right there where you're sitting, the person that you are, and the choices that you make. And why do I say that? Well, it's because it's true. No matter what they're doing, if you want to be an amazing you and become a great version of you, a nicer version of you, a more pleasant version of you, if I mean, she's already there. It's not like she's going to look at you and go, "Man, I don't like you now because you're just so damn nice." That's not something that any court's ever heard. I got to divorce his ass because he's too damn nice to me. He does the dishes, and every time I'm there, he's like, "Here, let me help you. What was that? What do you need, honey? You want me to do this for you? I can go do that for you." Goes and gets me pillows and blankets and shit. If you become amazing, you become more interesting within yourself, people are going to be interested in you. I think people generally are interested in me in a curious sort of way, kind of like playing with snakes. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Can you believe it? Oh, right. But that's what it takes. I mean, that's what drew you together in the first place, right? So how do you do that? Well, just start looking for things to do. And of course, we're going to come to that. You got to have a way to remind yourself. You got to have a way to remind yourself of what your intention is so that no matter what happens in your day, no matter how pissed off you get or no matter how somebody screws you over at work, that doesn't impact you because guess what? In the end, hey, listen, I got this shit I'm going to do. And as a result, it's going to make my life better. And it hasn't now, but I can friggin' imagine how it is when we finally get there, right? And that's really all it takes. So what could you do? Well, you could go to the gym. You go to the gym. You could hang out at the gym for, say, an hour a day. In fact, you could invite him. In fact, you could invite her to go for a walk. Now, depending on how it's going, she might look at you a little weird, like, you're not going to kill me or something, right? She might look at you a little weird for that, especially if it's completely out of character. But think about it. Why aren't you kicking it with each other and hanging out and wanting to be around each other? It's because neither one of you are that interesting. I mean, not as interesting as the shit you're looking at. And of course, the way to fix that is go, hey, listen, let's spend some time together. Let's get interesting together. No way. Yeah. No way. Yeah. It's really just that simple. And how do you do it? Well, you can get an app, you can get all kinds of crap that's going to do that for you. Or I've got a simple solution, and that's part of this whole package, right? And of course, just so you know, I'm not selling you shit. I leave that alone, all right? You don't know, none of us have enough money. We'll never have enough money, so let's not mess with that, right? So there you are. But what's the result, right? You wake up every day and you look at her and you say to yourself, I love her and I'm going to do what it takes to make sure that I address her needs. And then what's cool about that is once she starts to trust you, the cool part is once he starts trusting you to where you're not going to get mad at him and he can make a comment and it ends in a really wonderful way. Just get one of those. That's all you need. Just a couple of those, man. That'll put a shot into the arm of your relationship because all of a sudden you'll be like, wow, you are cute. Even, and the next thing you know, he's over there brushing his teeth before he goes to bed again. And you notice he's putting some cologne on or you notice she's kind of putting more makeup on and she got some stuff going on. You get home and the living room's all cleaned up and she's all happy and it kind of makes you worried, right? It makes you worried because you're wondering, well, I hope she's not in love with someone else. Oh, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, no, here we go. You could lose it. What are we talking about? We're talking about your job. Job, your source of income. You could lose it. How do you not lose your income? And let's say that's not the case. Let's just say you have a job where you don't lose it because there ain't anybody wants to do it, or maybe it sucks, or whatever the reason. But even if you have a job, you could lose it. Tennessee. And it could be your just attitude. You're like, no, my job sucks. I hate my friggin' job. I'm not doing my job. I hate my damn job. Right? And that's how it goes, right? I hate my job. Well, how do you correct that, or how do you prevent that, depending on where you're at? Well, the ticket's simple. You just change the reason you do it, and there's another whole point to talk about when we talk about our employment. Let's just take a look at this. Why do you work? Answer the question, quick, 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 quick. Don't have to think about it. You work to pay your bills. Now, we're talking about motivation and the ability for us to change positions in our life. That is, to elevate some aspect of our life to some place it's never been, right? What do you have to do? Well, you could find a better reason to show up there besides paying bills. You could find a better reason. You could go, what other reason could I have? How about money? Oh, man, money be good. If I get more money, right? How would you do that? Well, you just get so damn good at your job. That would be one way. Are you top-notch employee? Are you the one that's always getting kudos, always getting the awards? You're top salesman in your department, always reading books, always helping other people, always jumping in when the boss needs help, talking to the boss. He's your friend. You hang out, you go fishing, you get a crazy idea in your head about maybe moving up. You're like, hey, Jim, I heard there was opening another store. Oh, yeah, they are. You got any pull? Well, hell, actually, the guy that I hired that's doing the hiring is the guy that hired me. Yeah, oh, yeah, we go back, way back. Hey, how about can you help me with this? I'll go ahead and hang out if you want, and I can do a lot more of your work. I'll squeeze it in. We can balance this out. Can you teach me how to do it? Because you got to be the smartest guy I know. Right? You see how you throw that love in there, and all of a sudden, guess what? He's all tailed. He's like, yeah. Now, of course, there's a downside to that. And what is the downside? Well, the downside is that as you do that, your fellow employees are not going to like you very much. They're going to look at you and they go, hey, weirdo, what are you doing? What are you doing, you suck ass? What are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. And why is that? It isn't because what you're doing is bad, because what you're doing is you're elevating your life. You're taking a position and you're finding the motivation. You're telling your wife and yourself stories about it. You know how cool it's going to be? Oh, I can't believe it when we're making, in our case, I got that job at the sheriff's department. I was making $18,000 a year. And I'm like, oh my God, can you believe 18,000? That's like $1 million, right? Change the reason that you're doing what you're doing. Find a reason to do better. It's up and out. That's how the program works. You get a job, you hire in as a job, and you go talk to your current boss, and you say, hey, boss, can I get a raise? They say, well, and you expound all of the things you do. Well, no, I finished concrete, and I'm a form setter now, and I'm doing it all, man. I'm running shit. Find a better reason to do it, and I guarantee you're going to show up every day at work going, hell yeah. I'm not going to prove, you're not going to prove me wrong. Oh, my God. I got to tell you, I have to tell you, when it comes to kids, Sandy and I were blessed. We were, we 2 kids. I mean, Sandy and I were kids when we got together, right? We were already kids, and there we are. We got 3 kids, and they're amazing. I mean, it's like you don't worry about them. They're productive. They're overachievers. I'm not sure exactly where that came from, but I'm good with it. It's great, right? And that's what every parent wants. And of course, having been a parent for so long, and not only that, but having such a good relationship with my wife, and we work well together. We've always worked well together when it came to the kids, right? I want to talk about this. I want to have a conversation about it. So you don't ever have to have conversation about it. This is the one conversation we can have where you'll actually say, well, I guess I don't have to watch any more of those damn videos because, well, that dude, Chris, at Your Best Life Defined, well, he figured it out for me. Wouldn't that be cool? Think about that. Wouldn't that be cool? That's just like the rest of this whole story, right? You just listen to me and it'll work, right? But the good stuff waits for the end. But let's talk about kids in general. Let's just get into that conversation. Kids, what's a good kid? Well, in my opinion, a good kid who's a pleasure to be around, and all that encompasses that. That's all I want. I would want to take my child into an environment and have them function in that environment in accordance with how you function in that environment. Right? If you're at the Central Park and there's a fountain, he doesn't jump in the fountain or throw stuff at the birds, or he does what everybody else does. They walk around and they talk and they admire it, but they don't get in it. Right? In a restaurant, he doesn't turn around and start touching people. He sits down. He doesn't scream at the top of his lungs. Right? How do we do that? Well, it's consistency. And what's interesting about that whole idea is that with consistency comes consistency. I don't remember my kids being much work. I really don't. They really weren't much work. They were, they did what we were told. And of course there was a little bit of fear involved. And I think children should be afraid of your parent. Your children should be just a little bit like, that one eye, like, right? A little scared. Because that's a respect thing, and it also gets their attention. And of course, there's a lot of love on the other side of it. But the bottom line is this: when you walk into a room and your child conducts themselves within the environment that you're in, and it doesn't seem appropriate compared to the conduct of other people, then that's a good indicator. You should probably change something. And that doesn't matter. I mean, and here's another point to consider when you talk about being a parent. You think you're a good parent, but are you really? And the outcome is in that child that you're raising, right? Think about it. If you look at your child and he's responsible and he understands the fundamental dynamics of self-sufficiency, because that's what it is. You have to be able to be self-sufficient. That's the goal of any parent. And the better your child is at getting out on his own and just doing whatever the hell he wants, the more successful you are. And the key there is consistency. If you tell your child don't do it and they do it, you respond accordingly without hesitation. If you instruct your child to do something and they don't do it, you take action. It's not violent action. It's not a personal thing. You're training them. You're like, here, no, this is how you do it. You sit here until you don't act that way anymore. And guess what? Before you know it, you're not going to be chasing your kids around. You're not going to be having to yell at them. And it's simply because when you say the words, they understand what they need to do and how they need to conduct themselves. Oh, man. So let me just tell you this. I got to tell you this real quick. So I've been on a rant. I have been on a rant about the political environment. And what my rant is really about is our inability to actually affect any kind of positive change. I'm on a podcast, and of course I put a lot of content out, and I'm on live shows, and I'm pushing towards getting this thing moving. An idea moving about our true power within our government, right? Because that's really what we're talking about here. There's this idea, and the new battle cry of America is, well, we can't change it. I've heard it over and over again. I can't change it. And then, of course, if you're now, unless you're affiliated with some major organization like the Trump organization. Believe me, the Trump organization is not a political campaign. The Trump organization is a money machine. And what it does, it says, hey, this is what we're going to do for you rich people, but you got to give us money to do that. So they give us a portion of the money and we do what we're supposed to do for them. And of course, the rest of us are on the outs. But if I talk to a Trumpster or anyone who's backing Harris, the conversation is how great it's going to be if they get in office, and the fear around what that other person might do if they get in office. And the bottom line is what? Your life ain't going to get better regardless, because that's not how the game's paid back. I mean, you don't get elected president and then tell all the people who gave you millions of dollars, hey, listen, I'm sorry, bro, but I got to take care of my people. All those people gave you $20 here, $20 there. You don't even know them, never ate dinner with them. They don't have millions of dollars like you do, so you seriously can't identify with them. And of course, that's what we're alluding to, right? Oh yeah, okay. I don't think so. I mean, we got the president. The reason the president is getting out of office is because they don't think he's going to survive, and I think that was the Democrats' plan all along. I do. I mean, it's just my opinion. I'm just one guy, but I'm just saying. When you think about the how things played out, I think they got Harris in there because they thought Biden didn't know how long he had. I mean, look, he was old when he got the job. And now here he is. And of course, now Trump don't want to get on stage with Harris, or maybe he's changed his mind now. But they're a little concerned because she looks all young and she's actually represents the idea that we're talking about here. But what would happen if we decided to call for term limitations in a written form? We said, hey, I'm not just going to talk about it. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to write a form letter, email to every one of my representatives. What do you suppose would happen? I got to tell you, if you really take a look at our record as Americans, as the working class, as we the people, we're not doing a very good job either. I mean, think about it. We're not doing a great job. You're not rocking. How many letters have you written to your congressman? How much action have you taken to ensure that you understand how the system works and how best to affect change? How many conversations you have that actually resulted in action on your part? Because talk without action is just talk. It's just talk. And of course, I'm as guilty as anyone is with that. I truly am. I mean, there's no doubt about that, right? I'm not denying that. But if we want real change, we have to start affecting change at the lower level, and we have to get a win. And the win we could get has to do with term limitations. What do you suppose would happen if everyone in the country sent their representative a letter that says, if you don't get term limitations in place before this election, you don't work here anymore because you're not a very good employee anyway? And of course, why is this important? Well, damn, the bottom line is because we could lose it. Okay, so here's the problem. You see, the problem is we don't understand how it works. They don't understand the wars and how this whole package plays out. We're going to talk about that one. Ready? Oh man. All right, so let's just go ahead and break into this thing right here. All right? Let's talk about it. How does this whole thing work in politics anyways? Because it seems to be that a lot of really rich people, really powerful people want people in office. They want to make sure that happens. And of course, how do they do that? Well, it's the money thing. Talk about you want to change something? Write a letter to your congressman saying, I want campaign reform. And I have a plan for that if you're interested, just in case you're wondering what my plan is. It's really simple. You just take all the money they want to give and put it into a pot, and then you have a pre-qualifier that allows the American people to seek to run off for office. And of course, the contingency is the amount of support you can get, right? And of course, that just comes down to that, right? But you have a set amount of money that you can use to actually enlist that support. And it's the same money, no matter whether you're Donald Trump or you're Harris or you're me. And as a result, guess what? Everybody gets the same amount of money. What do you think that's going to do? Well, it levels the financial playing field. Those donors don't work for, those candidates have no obligation to work for those donors. So what can they do? Well, in that case, they could probably work for the people. Oh man, that's a good idea, right? They could work for the people. And of course, how do you get that thing going? Well, it requires us to stop talking and start doing. And I say a letter because Chat GPT, get on there, say, type me a form email that I can send to every representative I can get an address for. And then when you get that, you just copy and paste. And if you want to, you could actually go, now that we have this email, can you address it to every senator on the floor? No way. What? No way. What? Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And then, of course, what are we doing about it? Well, I'm talking to folks that haven't done a thing. We got all this time. I mean, think about how much time the average person spends on social media. Think about that. In that time, how many emails could you possibly send to someone who has your children's destiny in their hands? Right? Your children's destiny in their hands. See, that's a big thing that we seem to be losing here. You want to understand why it works so well the way it does and why things are going on the way they are? We're going to break into that. Let's talk about it. Why do you suppose it is there's a war? It's because the Democrats have to pay back all those bills they made to the people who are invested in these weapons companies. So they get rid of weapons and they fund more and they make more and everybody makes money. That's the payback. That's why the rich pay the candidates. That's why the rich foot the bills for the candidacy. And of course, we got this idea in our head that, this is, we can't change it. America, we can't change it. America, we can't change it. And I'm not demeaning America at all. I'm saying let's get off our ass and stop talking so much and start doing. Maybe it's time, because if we don't, you do know we could lose it, right? man. The last and of the least, the last and the least, but the most powerful. How much knowledge do you take in every day that you didn't know? How many hours a day do you spend actually learning things and acquiring skills you don't have, you didn't have prior to? That's a creative process. That's a process where creativity has to be fueled, right? Process where creativity has to be fueled, and that's how it's driven. And the thing is, the big hurdle we face is, you take a look at a person like me and you think, well, how did he learn how to do this? And how is he doing that? And how does he get up every day and push it out, right? And the answer is because I didn't know. It's kind of like putting a puzzle together. Once you start, you can't stop, right? You're like, especially when it's connected directly to who you are. And of course, that's the endurance side of it. And the mistake we make is a lot of times, most of the stuff that you're doing right now, think about the energy level that you draw from it. Think about that energy level you draw from it, right? In order for you to get moving in your life, in order for you to get moving in that direction, we have to take an action. In order for that to happen, we have to build a story around it. And that's where this whole conversation comes in. The bottom line is it's 3 easy steps. And it's the 3 easy steps you do every day, every time you make a decision. And you've been doing it forever. Now, I promised you I'd tell you how this was going to go, and this is it. So it's 3 easy steps, right? I promised you at the beginning, I said, if you watch this podcast and you do what I'm telling you, you will never have to watch another podcast. And that's exactly what's happening right now. So let's go ahead and talk about it. We got all these ideas about avoiding things and avoiding loss. You don't want to lose your relationship. You don't want to lose your financial stability. Don't want to lose your job. You don't want to lose your whatever it is you love to do, right? And the answer is, how do you do that? It's really simple. Well, that becomes your priority. And to illustrate this, let's just take a look. What do you have going on in your life right now that you're struggling to achieve that you haven't quite got to? And the reason you're struggling to achieve, maybe because of it itself, or maybe it's because of what it gives you. There's a dynamic there between the thing that you're going after and where you are now, and that is the imagination or the idea of what it's going to do for your life, the ability to actually visualize and physically feel what it's going to happen when your life goes from where it is now to where it'll be. That's why it's so easy to go buy a car. I mean, I don't give a shit who you are. You buy a new truck, you driving that truck home, you feel good. You feel good for about a month, 2 months, and then what happens? Well, but when you think about the fact that you're going to be doing something from now till the time you die, and I'm talking every minute of every day, you're going to be involved in some sort of thought, unless you're sleeping, involved in some sort of activity that takes you in a direction. The question is, where are you going and why are you going there? Where are you going and why are you going there? In my case, I realized that mowing the lawn wasn't my thing. So I said, I don't know why I'm going there. I don't know why I mow a lawn. And so then it didn't make any sense to me. So I said, well, maybe I should not have a lawn. So I got an RV instead. I still had grass. It just wasn't mine. I didn't have to take care of it. I looked at my life. I said, why am I sitting here? I'm only 55. I retired at 50 or 59. No, yeah, I retired at 55, right? Why am I sitting here at 55 and mowing lawn? Got an idea. I said, well, I could be over there. Got excited about it. Started seeming like a reality. Next thing you know, we're living on the road for 7 years. You want to make it happen, pick it. And how do you pick it? Well, the first thing you got to do is you got to write something down. You got to have a reminder of it because you're not thinking about it right now. In fact, this whole idea is probably new to you. You take a dry erase marker, go to Walmart, buy a pack of them, put one everywhere in the house, but put one in the bathroom. And then you write on that mirror what you're going to do. Just do it. Write it on the mirror. And then, of course, you can tell me, oh, that didn't work. And I'm going to tell you, well, that's not because it doesn't work. It's because you don't know how to work it. You're not working it. Because every night when you go home and you brush your teeth and you get ready for bed, you put a number by it. It tells you how you're doing. It tells you how you're rocking your life. And if you did a 5, well, that's halfway. You can do better than that. If it's a 3, you didn't do shit. If it's a 1, you definitely didn't do shit. And you should be asking yourself questions about why. And maybe that's the wrong idea. Maybe that's the wrong plan. And if that is, that's okay. You looked at it. Pick something else. But the ticket here is, as long as that idea is in front of you, you will continue to pursue it. I mean, right up there, get that dry erase marker now. Here's an idea for you. Right up there, term limitations, email. And when you go home and you're bored and you got nothing going on, go to your saved files and copy and paste that email to some politician that's not even in your jurisdiction. Send him an email. Fill up their boxes. And what do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen. And you imagine in your mind the story that drives that, because it's never happened, but the story that drives it is people are just celebrating because term limitations are being passed across the board, and half of those people in office were removed and and incumbents were gone, and we're like, damn, that shit works. And before you know it, there you are. And what's really important about it is you got to be careful. We got to be careful, because if you make the wrong step, you could lose it. All right. Hey guys, I'm on a roll today. Thank you for showing up. Not stopping. Thought about stopping. I'm in a debate right now about my morning coffee. 7:30 to 8:30 Central Standard Time. I do a live show for an hour. If you want to tune in, please do, because I'm torn between maybe not doing that and putting my time into this rather than that. But that's going to be up to the audience. If you're interested in what I'm saying and you want to share that, please do. Don't forget to stop by YouTube. I got another video out. Don't forget to stop by the studio. Don't forget to follow and like. That's what I'm needing from you. I need a lot of loves. I want a lot of friends. We need to be friends. If there was ever a time, it's now. Don't forget to launch every action, every choice, every decision from a platform of kindness. It'll make your life better and make the world a better place. Until next time, my name is Chris Jaquez, and this is Your Best Life Defined. Have a wonderful